Welcome back to our fourth part of our interview with super agent Tom Harrison of Diverse Talent Group. Tom's been kind enough to sit down with us at length and discuss various aspects of the entertainment industry. And now we're going to discuss age. Let's start at the beginning.
All right, I'm getting old, Mark.
I feel you. Let's talk about a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Any different rules? Let's say a kid's 13 years old, their parents are supportive, but in most cases probably not the most industry savvy because they've got a 13-year-old that wants to act. What do they do? Because most of them don't live in LA. Most of them don't live in New York. They're in Nebraska. I've met them up in Washington. What do they have a shot? Can kids be put on tape? Should they even be thinking about this?
It's funny, I don't do that much with kids. So it's interesting to me, but I think some of them go on tape. Some of them, the parents move here. I've watched parents move here just for the benefit
Sure.
Of that kid. And there's local castings all over the place when they're looking for, especially with movies on the big movie front. I don't know kids as well. So, but look, if you're representing young kids, I do know the volume of appointments and opportunities they get are a lot. They see a lot. When you're having to see kids, you see volume. You know, on as the actors get older, the sessions get shorter because if you can solve it in one session. Look, casting's changed since I was an agent. When I started out, casting was about discovery, and it was about finding. Now it's problem solving. I've got this problem. How quickly can I solve it? So with kids, I think casting tends to hedge their bet and see a lot of kids. When it comes to my great character actors that are in their 60s or 50s or 40s, it's one session. It's one golden session of 5 guys, 6 guys that is at the top of the list, and they go in and they're it or they're not.
Sure. Any difference if I'm a kid in Nebraska? Would you, if you saw tape on someone who was amazing, or let's say they were in a film at a festival, they managed to locally book a little something, and you just saw them and said, wow, this kid is the next Dakota Fanning.
Right.
Would you be open to possibly working with someone? And would casting be open to seeing tapes? How does that work?
Sure. It's funny, I have an actor, I have different actors that are doing different things right now. For instance, I represent Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's a really big wrestler. So when something comes up on the action genre or a movie or whatever, he can put himself on tape and they're happy to take a look at it.
Okay. So you don't have to necessarily live in it, but you better have a hook.
You better have a hook. And the tough part is usually the tape's not enough. If it's a big studio film, the tape's enough to get them to bite. You still got to buy a plane ticket and fly here and be here.
Right. I've hired a couple kids out of Texas, one of the young fellas from Evening Shade, the old Burt Reynolds show, and we wanted him enough to fly him in.
Right.
But they had to put the audition on tape.
Anymore. Right.
Right. You don't have to have a gold medal.
Right.
Okay. All right. Next stage of life. Pivotal stage. Again, I get this question a lot. Kid's 18 years old.
Right.
Now they can work as an adult. This is a tough question, which I've wrestled with for a few years because I've been asked a lot, and I know there's two sides to it. College or Hollywood?
Ooh. I think it's an individual thing. I think I think college is important. I've got a daughter who's 18 months.
Right.
She's heading to college.
Right. I think the parents
right.
are in agreement on this, and I certainly value college, and I think it's a great idea. My hesitation, and you tell me your perspective on this, is that actors go to college, and let's say they're fortunate enough that their parents will allow them to major in theater and not force them into business or something more reliable and lucrative. Even with a theater degree, that doesn't exactly beat down Hollywood's doors.
Not anymore. Not at all.
You can go to Yale and finish top of your class as an actor from Yale.
Have your master's degree from Yale, and it guarantees you absolutely nothing.
Doesn't hold a lot of water in this business.
Yeah.
Yet, I would consistently say that actors who have graduated from Yale are some of the top college graduate thespians we have.
Totally agree with you. And some of them have to come out here and do all the education they've received to get through the audition process.
Well, that's the other thing. I've read some of these actors, and I specifically remember a couple from Yale who I recognized automatically as a fabulous actor. They didn't know how to audition.
Right. They were playing to the back of the room.
They were doing theater auditions, and I think that's part of it as well. So college would not be out of the question in your game plan?
But here's what I appreciate about them, is the pitfall of the 18 to 22-year-old in our business that doesn't go get that training is that they don't take every audition seriously. And the competition is so fierce that they don't realize that if they do a poor job with you, my opportunities to get them back to see you have been diminished. And that the kids that have that theater training walk in and go deliver something. They might be loud, they might be big, but they're going to give you a choice. And the pitfall that happens with the young actor out here is that they think, well, I've got 5 auditions this week, and they're busy being with friends and doing whatever, and they kind of blow through those without any real thought process. And the kids that go get the training don't.
Okay. What about the kids who go to college but then come here and behave like the 18-year-olds who didn't?
Well,
because we see that every day too.
Right. Look, representing young people is a challenge. And look, I might have been wild in my youth at 22, so I can relate to where they come, where they're coming from. So, it might have been 20 some odd years ago that I was 22, but you look up and yeah, they've got a lot to face to make it out here.
Does the college degree hold any weight with you when you're considering them as a client?
A small piece of the pie. It's a small piece of the pie. Yeah.
But not mandatory.
Not mandatory.
Okay, because I think some people are told that. I think I've gotten emails through my column from young actors, parents of actors, saying, we understand that you have to have a college degree in theater to even be considered. And
No.
I didn't know where that came from. I didn't get that memo.
No.
And I've hired plenty of people 18, 19 years old, and I've hired them out of college.
I found some really special actors that don't have that training.
Right. So it's optional, but it's certainly not harmful. Okay. Let's skip ahead a couple of decades.
All right.
Because I think the next big question, the age issue, occurs over 40.
Right.
Not everybody's Kathy Joosten.
Right.
God bless her. Great story, fabulous. She's been written about in the LA Times.
Right.
Emmy winner from Desperate Housewives.
Right.
Really came to Hollywood, I think, around 50 years old. But it's a very rare story. How does an actor become a client or even get on your radar if they're 40 years old, 50 years old, say, and they really don't have a lot of credits? Is it just a time thing like anyone else?
Typically, it'd be really hard to get on this client list. And you need to be aware that it's about marketing yourself at that point. You have to do something to get noticed, or it won't happen. If I'm receiving something in the mail from someone, unless there's some reason to really, really stop and take a look, and it doesn't mean that person's not talented. That person can be incredibly talented. But to go knock down walls for them, if there isn't something that makes the other side take a giant chance, it's not going to happen for them. It's too hard.